A few moments later.
As a wise wrestler once said, it's an upper body business. In a sport where looks play an important role, body transformations can leave the audience astonished. Whether it's a huge weight loss, a gimmick change, or putting on an extra 10 pounds of muscle mass. And of course, PEDs can play an important role in these transformations. But so can proper workouts, genetics, and dieting. There's no magic to it. And some of the transformations we will cover, even when they are obvious, I want to refrain from speculations unless the wrestler has actually been caught. And to be honest, even if they have, I don't really care what people are doing with their own bodies in their free time. Especially with certain countries having laws with a grey zone for certain supplements, and in a world of sports entertainment. One of my all-time favorite tag teams had some turbulent years in 1998, when Scott decided to turn on his brother and focus on a singles career as Big Papa Pump. While his brother Rick stayed pretty much the same apart from new clothes, Scott changed big parts of his movesets in order to preserve his body and because certain moves wouldn't fit his new heel moniker. But visually, he went from the collegiate wrestler to a new version of superstar Billy Graham. And while he already had a large frame, now even his muscles seems to have muscle. It's really hard to imagine that those two are the same person. With one of the longest careers in the WWE, the third generation superstar has seen and done it all. But since he came back from his last injury, he looks bigger than ever before. According to a recent interview, his training focuses more on posterior chain work.
But the biggest thing was I was able to train in the gym in a way that I hadn't been able to in over a decade. But a lot's down here where I didn't really have a posterior chain, like my ass and hamstrings and everything, they weren't activating properly. My quads were taking over, and then the weight just started piling on.
This, along with changes to his diet and supplements, has led to an increase of 5 to 10 pounds. To a current weight of 287 pounds. Something he thought was impossible a few years ago, as he stated in an interview on Steve Austin's podcast.
But it's all about high repetition. The form is everything. I know that I'm not gonna pack on 20 pounds of muscle. It's all about maintaining, because when it comes to...
You serious?
Prior to joining the main roster, the then still called Walter was a huge fan of the Japanese heavyweights and gaijin wrestlers, modeling his movesets and his appearance after the great legends like Stan Hansen, Terry Gordy, or Vader. Even though it was never directly requested by the officials at the WWE, in order to look more professional and athletic, he changed his diet. He used to follow a vegan diet in the past, but went back to eating meat and dairy since it became too limiting on the road, and almost dropped 30 pounds in the process. He still looks menacing at his current weight of 240 pounds, and has all the tools to be and to stay at the top of the company. Probably one of the true living legends of the business, who's still performing at a high level, Rey Mysterio started out a lot smaller when he still wrestled in Mexico, WCW, and ECW. While already in good shape, Mysterio's physique really started to change in the WWE, especially in the mid-2000s, when he packed on a decent amount of size. That was also the time when Mysterio was suspended for the first time for some wellness policy violations. In an interview with a Mexican newspaper, Mysterio stated that he was suspended for a drug he was using for his knee and arm recovery. He also stated that he had a prescription for the drug, but was unable to produce it in time to prevent his suspension due to being on a vacation and doing a promotional tour. And then There are his 2016 training photos. But no matter what he's doing, it seems to work for him since, despite his high risk, high flying style, he hasn't really slowed down. It is like the meme says, only The Rock can make The Rock look like a sissy. With his father's and grandfather's genetics definitely on his side, he recently admitted in a Joe Rogan interview that he was not unfamiliar with performance-enhancing drugs in the past. After his football career, he dropped plenty of pounds. After the time he focused on his movie career, his weight dropped even further, since he wanted to fit the Hollywood mold. During that time, he looked almost like Captain America during his humble beginnings. Only that this Captain America is already lean and jacked in the beginning. After that period, he just said screw it, let's get as big as humanly possible and fit his nickname The Rock even better. The former star from the promotion Dragon Gate wrestled, according to himself, at 240 pounds. And is now, with his 155 pounds, a former competitor at 205 Live and one of the lightest and most underrated guys in the current roster. If you get a chance, try to check out his matches in Japan. You won't regret it. One of the biggest weight losses, no pun intended, is that of the former Big Show Paul White. Billed at 380 to 500 pounds throughout his long wrestling career, and probably at his heaviest during the middle of his WWE run, he managed to lose an impressive 70 pounds and even developed a six-pack. The British Bulldogs were known for revolutionizing the tag team wrestling scene, as well as for questionable life choices. One of these was the excessive abuse of PEDs, but in the first few years of their career, especially Dynamite Kid competed naturally with a shorter, slimmer frame. He began taking steroids in 1979 when Big Daddy Ritter, aka the Junkyard Dog, introduced Billington to the anabolic steroid Dianabol. Let's talk about another Japanese wrestler who lost a huge amount of weight. The recent Hall of Famer Bull Nakano was one of the most feared wrestlers throughout the 80s and 90s, even competing in the WWF and WCW. After struggling with alcohol, which led to liver cirrhosis and excess body weight, she turned her life around and is hardly recognizable in her early 50s. We all know the Nature Boy as the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying son of a gun. That wasn't always the case though. When Flair first broke into the business in 1972, the 23-year-old was a barrel-chested 300-pounder who looked more like Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher. It was the famous 1975 plane crash which broke Flair's back and was responsible for the change in his physique. After recovering, Flair needed to carry less weight on his body, and he dropped more than 50 pounds. According to his Joe Rogan interview, his routine involves some old-school high-rep bodywork exercises. He also completely changed his in-ring style, going from being a power-based brawler to the technical wrestler who became a huge star. And that's it for today. We already covered the Steiner brothers and the British Bulldogs training in previous episodes, in case you're interested. Whose training program or strength achievements should we cover next? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.